We're joined by Cristina from Google. Cristina, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Cristina, Europe is often seen as cautious with technology, yet bold with regulation. How do these dynamics shape the way businesses in EMEA are approaching AI compared to the rest of the world?
So I would say that it's always very important to maintain a bold approach while being responsible. And that is the logic behind addressing everything with the responsibility at heart logic. So addressing things with the AI principle, making sure that when you do and use AI on anything that is innovative, you do it with leveraging on compliance, security, and all the assets that are important and are core to the way we do things in Europe at the end of the day.
And what are some of the core tactics or strategies that enterprises can implement to stay compliant with regulation while still innovating at speed?
So I would say, and of course, so here's where I'm going to mention Google Cloud. So with a technology like Google Cloud, we basically do that for the customers because we offer an infrastructure that has security at heart. It's secure and enterprise ready and is aimed to address things like regulation and compliance and so on and so forth while maintaining the data access to the users because the data remains their own and is compliant to things like the GDPR and all of our wonderful European regulations.
And I think it's fair to say that many companies are stuck at proof of concept with AI. So what practical advice do you give to your customers who are looking to push past their pilots and really embed AI into their core operations?
So generally, what I advise them to do is think strategically about the long-term goals that they want to achieve in terms of actual value, actual numbers. This is something we can also help them with our partners, the ecosystem of partners that we have, but also with our own services. We offer the help to identify that strategic goals, those strategic goals that they can have in mind. At the same time, while they think strategically, the advice is to always start with a use case that brings quick value, especially when we think about agentic AI. It's easy to try and think already about very complex use cases, about very complex agents that want to solve, for example, containment rates for everything. The suggestion normally is let's start with one use case where you're going to see immediate and actual value in production. And that is the way that we have designed, for example, customer engagement suite with Google AI, because the logic is exactly to make sure that integrations, connectors, and so on are already enterprise ready to be leveraged by the enterprise in an actual deployment and not just in a proof of concept.
And what guidance do you offer technical leaders who are looking to steer AI transformation in their organizations without overwhelming their teams?
So normally I always address this with something that I always love. It's the three concept logic. It's not new, but it's always the way I think things are going to work, which is people, technology, and processes at the end of the day. So people, it's important to excite the teams and bringing people that are keen and eager to understand and figure out the technology, breaking barriers across teams possibly. So a multi-disciplinary team of people that know the business but also know the technology is always very, very helpful. Technology, I mean, it's important to try and use the right technology that can already make you see the goals that you're going to want to try and address. And then processes is the last piece that I think is always important, because if you don't have a governance model or an idea of how you want to address this innovation in mind, you're only going to get stuck at the proof of concept level. So every one of these steps has its logic and how you can address it. One is by integrators, partners, and the broad ecosystem that Google Cloud, for example, offers, but also on a technology and people level, making sure that they're up to speed with training and technology and get excited about what they can do with it, because it's really an exciting moment.
It is indeed. Last question for you, Cristina. We fast forward 5 years. How do you see the relationship between AI and humans evolving in the workplace?
So I think that the person that said it best was actually a couple of the customers that I interviewed yesterday during the panel, because what they said is, I do not want only agentic AI, meaning virtual AI-driven agents, to do everything. What I want them to do is to enable a superhuman agent as well that will then eventually know how to anticipate and proactively address questions from the customers with things like coaching their human agents behind the scenes, training them behind the scenes, so that it's a combination that ultimately accelerates the time to resolution for customers. That is what I see I'm already starting to see it, but it's definitely the direction that we are getting to. And that's why it's so important to start thinking about how you make the best use and you infuse AI into the different processes of the business.
Excellent insights. Cristina, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Simon.